You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show. What is up, everyone? Paul Apostolakis and my co-host. Jesus Christ.
I'm Jesus Christ?
Yeah, you're Jesus
Come on.
Christ.
Sacrilegious.
Tom Lauer. We are Inside Real Estate. Thank you for tuning into another episode. For those of you that have come back, welcome back. For those of you finding us for the first time, thank you for tuning in. Please go to irepodcast.com. You can go to Facebook.com/IRE podcast, and that'll get you to our live feed. You can find us on any podcast app. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to not miss an episode. And please leave us a review. It does help us out quite a bit. Today, we have a very, very special guest. His name is Mr. Brandon Mulrenin. Mr. Mulrenin, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I appreciate you guys having me. I've been looking forward to this. So hopefully my goal today is to bring your audience as much value. Tangible takeaways is the goal. So thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So Brandon, just for those that don't know, Brandon is a very successful real estate agent and has a successful company. And recently he's been doing it for a while. He's been doing coaching for quite some time now. And that's really taken off for him. So I want to talk a little bit about your mindset and how you got into the whole coaching thing.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I actually started coaching agents through succeeding in real estate, right? So that's how it got. Well, actually, to rewind for a second, in my corporate world where you and I met, and Tom, where we all met in our Quicken Loans days, you know, my path there led me into the consulting side of the business, the coaching and training side of the business. And so that's where it all started. And, you know, it's funny looking back is just, I can remember this in 5th grade. I said to myself, I'm going to be a teacher and I want to be a coach. And I think I told you that before, Paul.
Yeah.
So this was the goal since 5th grade math class. And now it's just coming to fruition. So we can break into models and different things that I focus on, but that's how it got started.
Well, that shows. That comes through in what you do, that this is your life's passion. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're super passionate about this. I've seen you kind of get into it. And now that you are into it, I see this passion from you that maybe I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the reason, right? And thank you guys for that. I just believe that the traditional education model is broken. In other words, society has told all of us, go to school, get good grades, go to a good college so you can get a good job. Well, let's look at the facts. The facts are these kids are doing that exact same thing, coming out of school with a $100,000 student loan with a payment of $1,000 a month. And oh, by the way, can't get a job. Or worse yet, they get a job making $30,000, $40,000 a year with the value proposition for the traditional education model is broke. And so what it is that we all, the three of us, do in our industry, but especially with my coaching and training business, we can have somebody invest in themselves, which the three of us would say is the best investment, hire a coach, be held accountable to create a multiple 6-figure income in this industry. That value proposition makes a lot more sense for people than just that traditional education path. And it's what my life's work is all about.
That's awesome. So like for those who don't understand, some people don't always have a coach and they don't see the value in having a coach. Why in our business is it so important to have a coach?
I'll tell you. So my team and I meet on this all the time. The real estate industry, and this is going to hurt some people's feelings, but this is what we're here to do, is have raw, real talk, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have me on the show.
Let's do it.
I believe the real estate industry is incentivized to set up people that get in this industry for failure. Now, everyone's like, whoa, what do you mean? Let me explain why. If you look at the economic model of an MLS and the board of realtors and most brokerages, their financial incentive is to not tell realtors the truth, is to not hold them accountable. Why? Well, because the industry, what's the draw to the industry? I want to be my own boss. I don't want to be held accountable. I don't want somebody looking over me. I do want to do what I want when I feel like doing it, when I feel like doing it, right? That's the draw to the industry. Well, watch this. It goes against the interest of these parties to hold people accountable to the goals that they've set. Why? Because if they tell them the truth, Tom, that realtor that got in this industry who wants to be their own boss, they don't want to be held accountable. And if they knew the truth, they would leave the industry. So therefore, the MLS doesn't get paid their dues. The board doesn't get paid their dues. The brokerage doesn't get their fees. So the hell with that. Let's not tell people the truth. Let's sexify the business as much as possible so we can have millions and millions of people get in this industry, right? So we can get our revenue, our reoccurring revenue model,
right,
regardless if they succeed. So why hire a coach? A coach, somebody invests in themselves and hire a coach to confront them on the goals that they've set, because nobody else in the industry has an incentive, Paul, to confront people on the goals that they've set. That is why people need a coach.
That is profane. It just sounds kind of crazy, but it's true at some level that the business isn't really set up for that.
Well, most of them aren't. You know, I've only been a part of one other brokerage in my real estate career, but
yeah,
there's absolutely zero coaching, right? That's on you, right?
Yeah,
you either need to be a self-starter or you need to be a self-starter, right? There was no
here's
one
what we know, Tom.
There's no one holding you accountable.
right.
Yeah, well, here's what we know is the problem with being a self-starter. This is why I tell every single real estate agent, they either need to have a coach or be on a team like the real team. One of those two things has to be true, because at a brokerage, on a traditional brokerage model, when we're left on our own, here's the truth. Human beings left on our own will always, not sometimes, always take the path of least resistance. Why? Because it's science. It's science. We cannot fight it. Our bodies, our minds, our souls are meant to keep us safe. So if given the choice, we will take the path of least resistance. The value of coaching, the value of leadership is to help create the best version of yourself that otherwise you would not be able to get from yourself. So here's an example for the audience. Think about this. If someone was watching you do push-ups versus you doing push-ups on your own, which reps are better? Oh, that's right. The ones that are watching you. If someone's listening to all of your sales calls, do you think that the sales calls are better or worse if you made them at your house in your underwear?
We know the answer.
Yeah. What do you say to the? Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, last thing. I mean, so here's what we know about success, right? We talked about the opposite of how the industry sets up people for failure. Here's what we know about success. If you look at all of the people in our industry that have the highest taxable income, we can directly correlate their levels of accountability in their business. In other words, the people making the most money in our industry have the highest level of accountability, and the people failing in the industry have little to no accountability. It's a direct correlation.
No doubt.
So what do you say to those people that are like, they're doing their own thing, they don't really see the value in the coaching, and but they're mildly successful, right? There's successful agents out there that don't use coaching. What does coaching do for that person? I mean, does it take them to the next level? Is it something that that they still need, even if they're seeing success?
Well, I think the question is, how do you communicate, or how do you treat somebody who says, well, I don't need a coach? Let's unpack that first.
Yeah.
This is like someone saying, well, I can I can go start a business on my own. I can go get healthy and fit on my own. I can make a bunch of money. I can write a book. Here's the question, Paul. Everyone can. The unanswered question is will. Everyone can go succeed. Everyone can write a book. Everyone can lose weight. The question is, will you? And here's what we know. Then why haven't you? If I'm having a conversation with somebody and they're saying, well, I don't need a coach. I can go out there and succeed on my own. You're right. I agree. My only question is, why haven't you? And the only answer is accountability.
Right.
That's the only answer, because no one's made me do it. That's why.
Why do we have a culture in real estate of not holding people accountable? You know what I mean?
Because of what he said earlier.
Yeah.
Like, people join real estate because they want to be their own boss.
Right.
They don't want to have set hours.
Right.
They want complete, quality of life and flexibility. So the allure of real estate is, I don't need to answer to anyone.
Right.
Right. That's what gets you in. That's their mindset going in. I'm a 1099er, man. I'm not a W-2. You can't tell me where to go, when to be there, or what to say.
Right.
When you're a 1099er, you can float, right?
It's we call it so on our coaching team, we call it the 1099 curse. Because what Tom nailed it, Paul. It's the same reason that's attracting people to the real estate industry. Watch how ironic this is the same reason they fail out of real estate. So what brought me into the industry is the same thing that gets me out of the industry.
That's profane.
And you said something. I was scrolling Instagram, Brandon, and I saw, something, I don't know, maybe last week, but it was along the lines of, do you have financial issues? Do you have something going on in your life? 3 hours a day of prospecting will cure any financial issue you have.
That's what Brandon said, right?
Right. Brandon said that. And it's true. It's 100% true. There's case after case after case in our company that I've seen.
Yep.
Where people that commit to the time block and do the heavy lifting for just 2 to 3 hours a day are ultra successful. But 100%. That's 10% of the brokerage, right?
That actually executes that.
That actually executes that. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a framework that I teach all of my coaching clients, Paul and Tom, and to Tom's point, I call it the 30-2-1 system. And if somebody will follow this, they can't help but create a multiple six-figure income, and they will be the top agent at their brokerage in less than 3 years. And here's how it works. It's 30 new conversations per day with people that want to buy or sell real estate, which will result into 2 leads that go into the database and 1 face-to-face appointment. So if they can have 30 conversations, generate 2 new leads that go into the database, which is the most neglected area of our industry, and go meet with 1 homeowner 5 days a week, 20 per month, they will be the number 1 agent at their team or their brokerage in less than 3 years guaranteed. And they'll have a multiple six-figure income.
And we have examples. I could take what he just said and put names on it for you at Realty.
Yeah.
With people that have had that commitment. And it was the 5s, right? If you have 1 listing appointment a day.
Yeah.
Or 1 buyer consult per day, 1 face-to-face per day, no matter how you get there. And the numbers are right. It's 20 to 30 contacts will get you there.
Right.
You are well into the 6 figures after year 2.5 or 3. It's repeatable.
It's just that.
It's like you get the answers to the exam.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the answer. The answer is right there in front of you. But people still don't want to execute it.
What stops people from executing?
Laziness.
Brandon? I mean, what do you, in your opinion, Brandon? I mean, what is it that is stopping real estate agents from doing these small things that seem simple on paper, right?
All right, I'm going to melt your guys' faces off. You ready?
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, let's do it.
So watch this. Watch this. This is what I think about all the time. So we talk about my passion for education in a non-traditional sense. So all I do is sit here in my office and work on concepts and frameworks. And one of the things is what you're talking about. Why don't people do what they know will get them results, right? That goes back to the value of coaching. If I could show you a model and outline exactly what to do that creates multiple six-figure earners 100% of the time, why would you go it alone? But I digress. Let's talk about what we're talking about. So watch this. So let's pretend we're all together in a living room and the temperature is set to a place where we all feel comfortable. And so when that occurs, do any three of us get off our rear ends and go touch the thermostat, or no? Do we just keep watching the football game?
No, we're not getting up, dude.
We're not getting up, man.
I'm not getting up for anything.
We're not getting up for anything until one thing occurs. Until one of us is either too hot or too cold. It's when that happens, do we get off our rear ends and go do something about it? So what does this mean? This means that people live in this world of comfort. And it's not until something happens that causes them to take action to get out of that comfort. So for most people, their standards are very, very low. So this is why you see the cycle of real estate agents, right? They'll have a great month, they'll make a bunch of money, and they won't do shit after that. And then they go way, way, way down until their bank account gets empty. And then what do? Shit, Tommy, I got to get back to work, buddy. Then they start putting in the effort again. This is people changing their own internal thermostat. This is what constantly happens in our industry because people are constantly getting hot, constantly getting cold, and without accountability daily, without a commitment to daily lead generation, they will live their entire careers like that.
Yep. And it's the examples are, again, they're there. Look at the people that are successful here. You know what they're doing at 8:30 in the morning to 11 o'clock.
They're prospecting.
Yeah. Look at any of the greats that are here.
Yeah.
It's just that it's a reflex now to them. It's not even.
How long does it take for living in, like you said, you've got to be uncomfortable basically to make some changes, right? How long does it take for you to be uncomfortable before you make the change? And then once you do make the change, how long before it becomes a habit that sticks, if that makes sense?
Yeah, 100%. So I'll give you another framework that I learned through one of my coaches, Darren Hardy. He wrote The Compound Effect. And so I've been working with Darren for a long time, and he's helped me a lot. And one of the greatest things he taught me was something called the pain-pleasure pendulum. And so this will, I think, resonate a lot with the audience. So when we talk about success leaves clues, one of the things is this pain-pleasure pendulum. And here's how it works. So we talk about people living in this comfort zone, right? They only experience a little bit of pain, so they only get to experience a little bit of pleasure. So what we have to do is correlate the pain side of the pendulum. In other words, we can control how much pain we put ourselves in on a daily basis. We can control when we wake up, how much prospecting we do, what we eat, how we work out. These are all controllable actions. People would call that pain, right? Versus sleeping in, watching Netflix, eating donuts. Well, what happens is the further we push that side on the pain, the pendulum swings back on its equal axis in the pleasure, or in the pleasure, success, income, happiness, freedom. But so what we have to do is we have to look at this correlation between pain and pleasure. And so we have to make we have to hardwire this into our mind that says, if I am comfortable, that is only going to lead to little results. It's only when Tom holds me accountable, to when he pushes me, to when I'm in pain, should I expect success. And so we have to constantly remind ourselves to look at that, to say, okay, I have a decision. I can go through the drive-thru at Starbucks, or I can go park the furthest way, get my rear end, and go walk. Which is more painful? Therefore, that is better for me. So the only evidence that we have that what we're doing is going to lead to results is how uncomfortable are we right now? And if the answer is, well, dude, that was an easy day, I didn't really break a sweat, well, then we shouldn't expect results through that. So that's number one. That's a mindset. Right. And then two is how long, right? I think once people, because it takes about 90 days to see results in our business, as you guys know. So if at least, right, to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
If you can find yourself in an environment where you're being held accountable, or you're on a team, and you can get some wins and you can get some momentum going, sometimes we have to prove it to ourselves. But the reality is it never ends. We talked about accountability a lot in this conversation. That is what's needed to keep that going, because it's complacency sets in, and complacency is the death of the human spirit. And so we have to always be held accountable to the goals that we've set, because without it, we'll just fall victim to complacency.
Yeah, and you know what, Brandon? I just think about it as a leader. How do like a leader that is holding somebody accountable at a high level is difficult sometimes. It's a lot easier as a leader just to let things slide, right, and let it go.
What's just like the prospecting? The painful part as a leader is to continue to hold someone accountable at a high level.
Yeah,
that's the pain part for the leader.
Because it's harder. It's much harder to hold someone accountable and let them know, listen, this is what you need to do to be successful. It's a lot easier
to give up on them,
to just say, hey, this is who they are, and they're not going to change. Would you agree with that, Brandon? I mean, as a leader, you've got to kind of follow these principles as well.
Yeah. And so I'll give the audience some takeaways, right? So when I coach a team leader, when I coach a broker owner, this is a conversation we have up front, and it's called permission-based leadership. So it's the same thing we do at a listing appointment. And so at a listing appointment, I will say, I'll teach an agent to ask this question of the seller. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's two types of agents out there. There's the agent that will tell you what they think you want to hear in hopes that you'll list their home, or there's an agent who's willing to tell you the truth, knowing they risk you not listing your home with them. And which of those to you guys sounds more appealing? Which type of agent would you rather work with? And the seller says every time, without a shadow of a doubt, I want the one who's just going to shoot me straight. They're never going to tell you, yeah, I just want you to bullshit me, Brandon. I just want you to lie to me. Okay, same thing in leadership. Watch this. Paul, you're a new team member on my team. Say, Paul, there's two ways we can go about this. You have high goals. That's why we're having this conversation. And there are things that you want to accomplish in your life that I assume matter. Am I right? You say yes. You say, okay, cool. There's two ways I can serve you at the highest level. There's one where I can just make things comfortable, not confront you, bullshit you just to make you happy so that you end up staying on my team longer. Or I can constantly confront you on the goals that you say are important. I can hold you accountable even when I don't want to, because it's uncomfortable for me. And this is what I believe is the best way to serve you. Now, Paul, the decision is yours. What would you prefer I do? And what do you think the team member says every time? No, Paul, no, Brandon, I'd rather you just bullshit me, tell me lies, don't hold me accountable. No, they say, Brandon, hold me accountable. This is what I told my spouse and my kids I'm going to accomplish. I need you to hold me accountable. And then watch this, Paul. I say, are you sure? There are going to be days, because right now, watch.
Yeah.
On day one, you're all excited. This is a new industry. This is a new business. It's easy for you to tell me, hold me accountable. I'm talking about in month 9, when you come into my office and you tell me you want to quit and you don't want to call the leads anymore. Are you okay if I bring this conversation back at that point? Right. So I think that's important. And that's how I would handle that.
So what you just explained is, going back to the Quicken days. I remember Tom Izzo came in and talked to us. And what Brandon just explained is exactly what Tom Izzo would do with his new incoming players. Like, tell me what you want to accomplish. Okay. Then ask for accountability.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let you know, you said yes. You said you wanted me to hold you accountable because you wanted to win a national championship.
And you know what? I think guys, most people, as they want to be held accountable, even when it's hard.
Right. Yeah.
Even when it's hard, they want and need to, even if they don't know it, they need to be held accountable, because that gets them to their goals. Right. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's going to be annoying. But being held accountable at a high level is what a human needs, even if they feel like they don't.
Well, it can break them too sometimes. It will break them too. There's people that just can't handle that level of accountability.
But if they can't handle it, they probably shouldn't be in the industry at that level. Because this is not for it's hard. Our business is really hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Brandon, would you agree with all that?
Yeah. Like, I mean, unbelievable point, Paul, is like, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, structure and accountability is at the top,
Right.
and people need it so much so. You guys will really get a kick out of this story. I'll keep it short. I'll leave names out of it. I took somebody out of Quicken with the highest level of accountability, highest level of structure you could probably ever get, which is the reason why people win, by the way. We take people out of that environment all the time. What do? They fall on their face. They have to go back to Quicken all the time. Well, that happened to me.
Yeah.
Watch this. Watch this.
Yeah.
So I took a high-level leader, so in a vice president role at that company, put him into our industry. The dude lasted 65 days before he found himself in the emergency room with panic attacks for a lack of structure, lack of accountability, had to go back as soon as possible. He thrives so much on accountability, so much on structure that they got the best out of him, that when that variable was removed from his life, he had to go to the emergency room. It was so bad because our industry is so, it's crazy. People,
but wouldn't you call that being institutionalized at some level?
Maybe. I think that's an extreme story, but the point here is, I think what Paul said, Tom, which was people thrive off structure. They thrive off the herd. And that's why I think you guys do so well at the Real Team. Because
you
part of the
have
value
kids,
prop.
Brandon, right? You have kids.
Oh, absolutely. I got 3 of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, no truer words have been spoken than when you look at kids and when they don't have the structure versus when they do.
Yeah.
100%.
Right. When my kids don't eat or sleep or whatever at the time they're supposed to, they flip out. They literally will go into rages and bang their head off the floor.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's that lack of structure that drives them bonkers. And why wouldn't that still be in us? We're human beings.
We're primal. Yeah.
Right. Just because we're 40 years old now instead of 4 years old doesn't mean that changes.
Yeah.
Right. So lack of accountability will freak you out.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you say to the people that are like, oh, I don't need a coach. I've got it all figured out. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel personally that no matter how good you are or how good you think you are at anything, not having a coach or someone there to guide you or hold you accountable at any level. I think a vice president, a president, a CEO, everybody should be held accountable at some level by someone, right? And sometimes, sometimes you just might not have that person. So talk to me about those people that say, I don't need a coach.
It's the same thing I do to convert for sale by owners. So here's the irony in this. Okay. So I don't try to convince Paul anybody of anything. My job as a leader and as a coach is to ask you questions so that you end up on a path of self-discovery so that you can make your own decisions. And so if I'm talking to you and you take the position with me that you can go it alone and you don't need any help and you don't need a coach and you don't need accountability, you don't need any of these things, I would say to you, I would ask you, Paul, well, let me just ask you this. How long do you give yourself to reach the goals that you've set? And you'd give me some type of time frame. And I would say at that point, if you're not where you want to be on your own, and other people that are inside coaching are getting the results that you want, is it at that moment that you'd be open to looking at some other options? In other words, would you be open to a coaching relationship if you can't get to where you want to go on your own, so that you prove it to yourself that in 9 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, you go it alone and you're still at the exact same place you are today. You aren't making $1 million in taxable net income yet. At that moment, would it be reasonable, Paul, that you believe that you need some help? And be honest.
Yeah,
of course. That's the script. That's the role play.
That's totally the FSBO script. That's so funny.
Isn't it? It's the same thing. So I'm talking in hypotheticals. There's a lot of science behind what I'm doing, but I don't need to convince you of anything. You need to convince yourself of what you believe is the best for Paul. And because the next script, if you will, and then we can kind of unpack this, is let me just ask you the next question. So you say, yeah, Brandon, I'd be open to some things down the road. I say, well, let me ask you this now. Knowing what you know now, it's not a lack of information. All the information out there is for free. You know exactly what everybody's doing. Why aren't you right now earning $1 million income or whatever the goal is? Why don't you have abs? Why don't you have a successful business? Why don't you have the net income that you want? Why don't you live in the house you want? Why don't you have the car you want? Right now, tell me, go ahead. What's number one? And now I put you in a place where you have to be like, damn, dude, I just got exposed. Because if you're not getting the results, well, what do you say?
Right. I mean, that's the bottom line. If you're not getting the result, it befuddles me sometimes why people would shy away from coaching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, here's one last thing.
If you want to be held accountable thing.
Yeah. It's like, dude, watch. Like, you'd have to say something. If we were in a real meeting and I was like, all right, and let's just call it Bob, right? I love the name Bob.
Yeah.
And Bob's like, I don't know why I'm not getting the results. It's because of this. It's because of this. It's because of this. It's because of this. And then all we have to say is, well, Bob, do you believe if I showed you exactly what to do, I showed you exactly how to do it, and I held you accountable to doing it, do you think you'd have a better opportunity or better chance of succeeding than you would without those things, right? And it's an easy answer.
Yeah. No, it turns into an easy answer at that point.
Brandon, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So we know that the goal for us, we're very listing focused, right? And we know that if you can go on one listing appointment every single day, you're going to be ultra successful. And to do that, obviously, you have to get good at setting listing appointments. People know this formula. They can see it in front of them. Yet, so many people don't execute on it, right? They just won't do it for whatever reason. They'd rather call, inbound buyer leads than try to talk to somebody about selling their house. How do you break down your what would you say to a student that said, Brandon, I need to learn how to set 2 listing appointments every day? What's my next step? What do I do?
Yeah. And I think there's 2 things to maybe talk about. One was some call reluctance to making outbound calls versus an inbound, responding to an inbound lead. That's one issue. And then the other issues on the skill side on how do I put myself in a position to get on 1 or 2 appointments per day? And so of those 2 things, Tom, what do you want to unpack first?
Number 2.
All right, skills. All right, so we're talking about skills. So what we have to do is, in order to set more appointments, we have to learn how to do 2 things. Number 1 is to speak in hypotheticals. We talked a little bit about it before. And then the second skill, Tom, is how to lower the perceived threat of being sold. And so we do this by giving the prospect the illusion of control. And so let's get into a little role play. So if Tommy, you're a prospective seller and we're having a conversation, you're a homeowner who tells me you want to sell a house. All that I need to do, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
All right. So all that I need to do at that point is essentially give up the thought that you're going to have a pressured situation and sell the value of the appointment, not me listing the house. So that's a key thing, right? So why would you want to meet with me? And so here's what I'd say. Everybody loves the script. Brandon, what are the words? What are the words? So I would say this. Tom, listen. I know I'm just calling you out of the blue. You don't owe me anything. I know we've never met. And so let's not agree to anything right now. What I propose is this. Why don't you invite me over to the property? When I'm there, I'll share a strategy on what we're doing right now to get buyers to overpay for homes like yours. And after our meeting, you can simply decide if someone like myself makes sense to work with or not. Either way, no big deal. You'll at least get this strategy. Does that seem reasonable?
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. That seems reasonable.
Right. So there's the script, or what I call the appointment setting framework, to help get more face-to-face appointments.
Well, what you said was brilliant. On you're selling the value of the appointment versus listing the house.
Right. It's that small tweak,
right? And you wouldn't even think of like that's master level stuff. When you think about it that way, right? That goes beyond the script.
Yeah, that just changes the conversation in your mind.
Correct.
Before you even
sell
have
the value of the appointment. Don't sell the listing.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, if you're so focused on the listing, it becomes a very dirty conversation almost.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Watch. So, nobody nobody wants to list their house and pay a commission.
Nope.
So nobody wants to
yeah.
do that. But
Right.
a lot of people want to move, for whatever reason. And so our job is to present a value proposition that is about them, and it's not about us. It's not about our team. It's not about our company. It's
Right.
not about
It's
us
about
getting
them.
the listing. It's about them 100%.
Who's your audience? What's in it for them, right?
That's right.
So if this market is pretty tough, right? I mean, let's be very frank. It's probably one of the tougher markets that we've seen over the last 5 or 10 years, and I don't know that it's going to get easier. In your opinion, what does an agent have to do to succeed in this market, as opposed to like a seller's market or a buyer's market or whatever it may be? In today's market, what are some of the key points that you see that people are kind of whiffing on it and that need to be executed to succeed?
Yeah. So what's funny about that is, the context matters on what you're talking about. So like a difficult market, I think a lot of people are talking about this lack of inventory. Watch this. So when you pay attention to the data, when you're an expert and you don't operate from emotion, you know that when everyone's talking about lack of inventory, lack of listings, wait a minute. In 2021, there were more transactions than ever before, ever in history. So as the news and everyone's talking about lack of inventory, there were more opportunities to sell more houses last year than there ever has been in the history of real estate. It's just that houses are selling faster. So I'll put that aside. Let people marinate on that for a second. Like, holy shit, he's right. There were more sides last year than there ever has been ever in the history of the world. So putting that aside, what do people need to succeed?
Right.
Here's the one area that realtors are failing on most. They are treating their business and this business as a transactional business instead of building a book of business. And this is so massive.
What's the difference, Brandon? What is the difference?
Let's get into it.
Yeah, what is the difference?
This is my biggest passion right now, is helping real estate agents treat their business more like a financial planner or a mortgage banker, where you can build a book of clients and take care of those clients. So watch this, Paul. If I said to a real estate agent, all right, Bob, you cannot market your business, you cannot prospect for new clients, and you cannot buy leads. The only way you can grow your business is by word of mouth with this one client. Would your business grow? In other words, how you treated this one client would determine your success or failure. And so when a realtor thinks about their business through this context, well, now they start to think about, okay, how do I create an experience that is so impactful that this client turns me on to more people? And you look at your client base more like a financial planner. And here's what they do. Money managers, they build these clienteles. In 10 years, if you're a money manager, like at a Merrill Lynch or things of that nature, you don't need any more clients. You're just managing the book of business. And so like from a tactical standpoint, we can really get into a lot of the client retention model that I teach and coach to. But it's like, how do I build a database? How do I communicate with that database? And how do I serve that database on a consistent basis so that I can get more repeat and referral business? Because here's what I know. What I know is that most people in this industry are obsessed with lead generation. Like, where do I get the next lead, the next deal, the next deal? And we're all neglecting the foundation of our business, which is the database. Nobody is spending time on that the way they should be.
Yeah.
Well, the great ones do.
The great ones.
The great ones do. Like, I just comes to mind Danny and Annette, she's, I don't know the last time she's ever tried to lead generate, because it just comes to her now. It's after 20 years of building a book of business and treating it like gold. Yeah. It just continues to harvest.
Yeah. You can't be transactional in this business.
Well, that's Tom hit it, Paul. Annette is a great example. Like, the goal of this industry is to build a book of business so that in 10, 15 years, you don't ever have to call a FSBO again. You're not calling expired listings. You're not sitting in open houses. But we don't see that, do we, guys? We see agents 15 years in the game still having to grind and buy Zillow leads because they've neglected the most important part of their business. They're still having to call and grind FSBOs because they've neglected the most important part of their business. And so as leaders in the industry, at least from my perspective, this is my main focus with the realtors in this industry is like, don't make the biggest mistake that I made, which is like the turn and burn model. And I just posted a video on my YouTube channel today about this. Don't turn and burn, because you're going to wake up 5 years from now saying, oh my gosh, I still got to call FSBOs.
Well, it's hard for us. We're Quicken guys. And that's just kind of what we learned, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to unteach that because unfortunately, I am, admittedly like fall into that turn and burn type category, which he's right. So if you're a turner and burner, what are you always focused on? Lead gen, right? Lead gen. So Brandon, then what are you having these agents do to maintain that database?
All right.
So if I'm in 4 years or whatever, what am I doing?
Yeah, I got you. So I'm going to go through these fast, Paul, because I don't know how long you guys want to go. I can go for hours.
We're running out of time, but yeah, let's bang through it.
This is super like all the tactics here this is good. So there's 8 things. Number 1, I'm going to have the realtor start their own Facebook group. This is a Facebook group for a real estate community. Every friend, family, past client, center of influence, everybody in my database is going to be in the Facebook group. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I'm then going to do a weekly Facebook live show similar to this. And so the realtor is going to talk about real estate specific content. They're going to interview their referral partners, talk about the market, tips, strategies on how to navigate this real estate market. They're going to go live inside their Facebook group once a week and their public page, growing their Facebook audience. Number 3, they're then going to send a video weekly email to their entire database with the content that they just shot for their weekly Facebook Live. Number 4, they're going to farm their database. They're going to send a piece of direct mail every 30 days to everybody in the database. We call it the real estate digest. So we're unpacking the market. We're telling a personalized story. We're highlighting one of our referral partners. We're talking about tips, strategies on navigating the real estate market. Number 5, a quarterly call. But Brandon, what do I say? Every 90 days, you're going to call everyone in your database and invite them to a quarterly live event. Every 90 days, realtors should be having an in-person live event. Okay. Our event schedule is very simple. In the winter, we do pictures with Santa. In the spring, we go to a Tigers game. In the summer, we have a barbecue kickball tournament. And then in the fall, we have a cooking class for pies. Not a pie giveaway. We're going to teach you how to cook your own pie to bring it to Thanksgiving and show off your cooking skills. It's a really interactive event. Right?
That's awesome.
Number 7, our birthday program. Everybody in the database gets a personalized birthday card with a $1 scratch-off lottery ticket and a personalized phone call from the agent, just like Grandma used to do. Happy birthday, Tommy. And then number 8, like the CPA, like the financial planner, we're doing an annual real estate review with our mortgage partner. So these are face-to-face meetings in January, February, and March. We meet with everybody in the database at their home or in office, and we're reviewing the equity of their home, providing a full value analysis on their property every year for their file, doing a full debt consolidation analysis, a rate reduction conversation, and talking about their up and coming real estate needs every 12 months, the same way your CPA, the same way your financial planner does with you.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's great. And if you're living that plan, you're not prospecting new leads.
Nope.
Right.
You don't have
the only
to.
thing you're getting is a ton of referrals. Right. You know
That's
what I mean?
my biggest model, Tom. People know me as like the outbound prospecting guy.
Right.
But what I'm trying to explain to people is exactly what you just said. You don't have to call strangers and go through that pain for that long if you will run this play. If you'll run this play, you will love your real estate business.
Absolutely.
It's a game changer. It changes the mindset from constantly having to hunt.
Right.
Which, I think that has a shelf life.
Like it's farm. It goes from hunting to farming.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
You know, what ended up winning out with human beings? Was it hunting or farming, Paul?
Well, we needed to farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we needed to figure out
when we learned how to farm, it changed the world.
Yeah, for sure. Randy, go ahead. Did you have something?
I just said, I mean, yeah, it just shifts the mindset from going wide to going deep. You know,
Right.
it's looking at your business like you work at Merrill Lynch. Like when most people, when I say that, maybe I need to give some context, because if you don't understand the financial planning world, here's what it means. You get one client and you get paid off them for your whole career. So you're getting paid a management fee. Think about our business in real estate the same way. Instead of going wide with your lead generation, I call it my top 100. And it's the 8 strategies I just outlined the audience. And all you need is 100 people in your book of business to do 50 deals a year. How do I know that? Because I'm doing it right now. I don't have time to call FSBOs anymore with running my brokerage, mortgage, title company, coaching operation. But I'm going to do 50 deals, and I have been every year through my top 100.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Brandon, we're running. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. You're obviously. Thank you so much for doing the show. We're going to do 3 random questions to ask you that don't really have anything to do with.
These always screw me up. I always get nervous at this part.
This is the part that gets you all nervous after all that.
Yeah.
Very easy. Yeah, we'll make them easy today. If you could go back to one era of time, what era of time would it be and why?
Ooh, I like this. I would go back to probably the early 90s, putting music aside, because that was like the best. But I really like simplicity, and I think technology and social media has made everyone crazy. So I really like the world of business where it was just like phone calls and face-to-face appointments. You know what I mean? I really like that era of business. It's what I'm really passionate about. And so like, that's what I would probably do.
That's an interesting answer. I like that answer. You actually like having to actually pick up a phone to call someone.
And the music was amazing.
We had great music in the 90s. Yeah, the great music in the 90s was fire.
I just saw Primus last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Speaking of early 90s music, yeah.
Primus.
There you go. I just think technology and social media is like really overcomplicated a lot of things and brought a lot of, distractions for people, and it's screwing people up badly,
We'll talk about, you were saying wide versus deep. I think social media has made everybody super wide and rarely deep anymore.
Yeah.
It is the cause of most people in this industry's shiny object syndrome, because they are addicted to YouTube and like, let me go on here. And they have 700 different strategies whenever they feel like it. And that's fucking people up. Sorry, can we do that on this show?
Yeah, you can do all that as much as you want. I love that. Yeah, I think
I got one for the 3 questions.
Okay, go ahead.
So this would probably be hard for you, Brandon, especially how we started the call. But if you had to hit a career reset button, meaning that, okay, we're pressing this button and you can't pick the career you have now, what else would you have done in life?
Oh, that's a great question.
I 100% would be a financial planner.
Okay. Why?
And I grow because essentially the conversation we just had, like, I just think that there's such bad financial advice being given out there to people, just like the traditional education model is not serving the society. Now you got people like Warren Buffett and Elon Musk coming out there finally saying, dude, traditional college is a disaster. Well, traditional financial advice is just as bad. And I like the whole idea of building a sales practice that's based on a methodology of going deep on relationship versus a transactional business, traditionally like real estate mortgage has been. And so I like that concept of managing 50 or 100 people of high net worth individuals, making sure my surrounding are with the people I want to serve at the highest level, going deep, not wide, like we keep talking about. And I like the revenue model, right? So I like that reoccurring revenue model versus going out there and always hunting for new clients. It's like, let me just treat these clients like absolute royalty. Let me change their entire life, both financially and on the personal side. And so I love the financial planning model a lot.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Great answer.
Next question would be, so you've been spotted with your shirt off quite a bit lately. You look fantastic, to be
I'll
fair.
take that fucker off right now.
Well, it's funny because I was scrolling and I'm like, what is he doing? He's shirtless. He's then I talked to Paul. I was like, I respect the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Because that A, takes balls, and B, when you see the progress, the
progress was good.
The progress is impressive. So nice job, young man.
Yeah. What is it? What are you doing? That's the question.
I'll tell you, this is another mistake that I made, which was, and everything worked out fine. But like when I look at my life, there are certain verticals, right? Treating it, I guess, like a business, and all the verticals were going so well in my life outside of my health and fitness. And so, the two things correlate so much. I believe people don't have business problems. They have personal problems that show up in their business. And
wow, that's perfect. I like that.
Like health and fitness is the same thing as building a sales business. It's the same thing. Discipline, mindset, mastering repetitious boredom, they're the exact same thing, fighting shiny objects syndrome and distraction. But this was the one area of my life, guys, that wasn't dialed in, and I couldn't be a hypocrite. I couldn't say to people that I'm leading that like, you just have to like work on these different things and the impact of health and fitness on your business and have a dad bod. And so my mindset in life, and you guys are seeing this because you know me, like I'm just not good with mediocrity. The way I grew up, the pain I had growing up, the surroundings that I had, I am not going to accept mediocrity in my life, period. And so that was the one area of my life that I was shitting the bed. I was out of shape, because I was spending so much time on business, and doing all these different things. And I was so unhealthy. And I could tell you guys the energy I have, the mindset I have now. I lost 50 pounds to have abs for the first time in your life. And what I went through to get them, like, I just feel like I can do anything. Like I'm just getting started. And I just believe the correlation to health and fitness and every other area of your life is a direct correlation. Like you can't have one without the other.
100%
and so
agree.
the commitment level for myself is to get healthy, because without that, I can't serve anybody else. That's why on the airliners, they tell you, put your mask on first, motherfucker, before you help anybody else. It's the same methodology.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, abs aren't made in the gym. They're made in the kitchen.
100%. So, what did I do, Paul? I hired a coach. I'm being accountable. That's what I fucking did.
You got held accountable. Then it goes
now.
Full circle.
Was this an in-person coach, or was it like a program you signed up for, or like give me your coaching as a recipient?
Both. I'm being held accountable on the diet, and I'm being held accountable at the gym, in person and online. So the nutrition was held accountable. Look, watch this.
Oh, here we go.
I got to turn in my step counter every night at the end of the day. I can't fucking bullshit that. And so I'm being held accountable on what goes in my mouth and my outputs daily at the gym. And so it's resistance training. It's minimum of 10,000 steps a day, focusing on macros, and
what's the diet
doing
like?
the boring, mundane work every day.
What about the diet?
Yeah, just focusing on macros, right? So what doesn't matter. It's just hitting macros. So 2,000 calories, 180 grams of protein, 150 grams of carbs, and 70 grams of fat. The what can be what I want as long as it fits those macros.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, you look good, man.
Yeah, Brandon. Listen, man, I hate running out of time because you have so much knowledge that you can impart on everybody. Let the audience know how they can get a hold of you, dude.
Yeah, best way probably right now is just on Instagram. Just my name, Brandon Mulrenin. You can find me on Instagram or my YouTube channel. I pump a lot of content there. Like my goal with my YouTube channel is to give people more advice for free than they do paying for it with other people. That's the goal with the channel.
That's awesome.
Well, you do it. You deliver on that.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much, dude. God bless. We'll talk to you again soon. I'm sure we'll have you back on because you always come through with such just nuggets of knowledge.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Amazing time, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Brandon. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. We'll catch up soon.
Yeah, no problem.
Brandon Mulrenin.
Brandon Mulrenin, dude. He's
so good to see him again.
Yeah.
He's killing it.
He's killing it. He looks great, too.
He looks great. Yeah. I mean, think about all the shit he's doing. He's running a brokerage.
Yeah.
He's got the mortgage, the title, and the coaching.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Very good.
All right. Well, we're done for the show. So we will talk to you later. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please go to irepodcast.com. Go to Facebook.com/IRE podcast. You find us on any podcast app that you want. We are the shit. Keep listening. We will talk soon.
Peace.
Peace out.
That's good.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast. Don't forget to follow us at irepodcast.com and everywhere where podcasts are available.